He concentrates on project and compliance. He's an engineer in business and marketing plans, operational development, feasibility studies, functional training, strategic planning, process improvement. And today, he's going to touch about 10 minutes and tease us on financial analysis. I mean, that's what where you're in, right? This is his P&L time, people. So, we're going to talk a little bit about just some quick tips, quick things to think about, to remember. Well, we're in business for P&L here, profit and loss. We want to maximize profit and minimize loss. So David's going to hit on that too as well. But Austin is a graduate of Keller Graduate School. He's an MBA. He's from DeVry College as well in Southern Polytech. We'll give him about 10 or so minutes, 10, 12 minutes. Let's introduce Austin Thompson. Welcome this morning.
All right, thank you very much. I'm setting my timer here.
Well, go to 12:35. Go to 12:35 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm setting my timer. So I want to thank Glenn and Maba for inviting me this morning to discuss profits. We're going to discuss pathway to profits, and this year we have all been challenged, man. It doesn't matter business model, type of business, service business, or if you're selling products, retail, restaurant, cafe, insurance, CPA. We all have been burdened with the pandemic and diminishing revenue with our businesses. So I definitely want to get on to talk a little bit about how we can preserve the profits in our business and also look forward to 2021. So you can go ahead, next slide. All right, so you remember where we were pretty much in the year. We started off pretty good. Unemployment rate was about 3.6. So we had a lot of cash flowing around, cycling through the economy. We had a lot of disposable income. People were shopping and buying and spending money. And then all of a sudden, boom, coronavirus hit. And all of a sudden, unemployment shot up to 14.7%. Right, where we were back in April. And when the Paycheck Protection Program and the economic injury disaster loans were issued, Congress passed a very respectable $700 billion stimulus packet in the CARES Act. This put money back in the hands of small businesses and put money in the hands of former employees, and folks were able to go back out to work. If businesses were opening back up, or they had unemployment insurance, they can still go out and spend. So we saw the unemployment rate sort of start to decline as businesses started to open back up after the sheltering in place order, right? So that took a lot of money out of the economy, and for those of us who are looking to sell to consumers, it was pretty difficult. All right, we can go to the next slide. All right, so the impact on the U.S. based on the economy, impact on business to consumer pipeline. U.S. lost 22 million jobs between February and April. Again, withdrawing a lot, billions of dollars in disposable income out of the economy. About 12 million people remain out of work from the pandemic after businesses reopened. We're not sure how this is going to go between now and about by the end of Q1. But if we're looking to really keep our P&Ls healthy, it's all about generating as much revenue as possible and reducing expenses, and trying to make sure that we're going into 2021 as healthy as possible. We saw consumer spending increase a little bit, and that's basically with specialty products like PPE equipment, masks, disinfectants. I mean, you walk into a Walmart or Kroger or whatever, you couldn't find disinfectants, you couldn't find toilet paper, paper towels. So, so if you were in the toilet paper towel, disinfectant business, you came out great. All right. If you were in online education, online training, virtual training platforms, you did great. So we saw certain businesses that were doing well. But then we saw businesses pivoting to more of a virtual online platform to do business and to engage their customers. 212 billion spent via online orders in Q2, and that's basically from like Amazon and other online businesses. Black Friday sales were up about 1.6 billion this year. Cyber Monday, we saw online sales up. So consumers were engaging online platforms. They were engaging online retail outlets and online businesses, bricks and mortar businesses. Really, many of them shut down. We lost about 100,000 small businesses in 2020. So if you are a small business and again you're looking to maintain and keep your P&L healthy, pivoting to engaging your customers and your clients through virtual platforms like I did. I had to actually hold online counseling and mentoring and doing business on Zoom or on Skype, right? So again, looking at how we can engage our customers in a B2C pipeline, turning and pivoting more to online virtual platforms and engaging online is a good benefit for us. All right, we can go to the next slide. All right, in a business to business pipeline, as we're targeting other businesses, your business doing business with other businesses, right? Again, over 100,000 small businesses closed permanently in 2020. So if you were entirely selling to other businesses, other small businesses, then you saw a tremendous reduction in your revenues, right? Which really compromised your profits. 4.2 million out of 30.5 million small businesses received SBA loans, about 13.8%, right? So that really didn't help the mom and pop micro enterprises as much as it helped the larger small business models, right? So again, if you are like for me, I work primarily with the micro enterprises, with other solopreneurs. So many of the businesses I cater to, like restaurants and cafes, many of them had to close their doors as the sheltering in place. That's where we saw that huge spike with the 14.7% unemployment. Many of those businesses closed their doors. They had to lay off staff and so on and so forth. But the businesses that were more in need of the funding through the PPP and EIDL really didn't receive it. So again, if you're doing business primarily with another business and you're selling to another business, you may have saw a tremendous drop off in revenue, which hampered your net profits, right? The pandemic impact on supply chains. Again, supply chain pipelines were severed. Again, the hemorrhaging of the economy. We really saw the supply chain. So restaurants and retail outlets and those in the food and beverage industry that relied on ingredients and supplies and materials, manufacturing companies as well. If you're doing business with a manufacturing company, you really saw a tremendous drop off as well as the supply chains were compromised. But we're starting to come back gradually now that we have vaccines. Even though it's being tested out in UK, we should see tremendous return in profits next year as we go into the new year to help grow our P&Ls. All right, next slide. All right. So growing profits in COVID, we're all looking at our P&Ls. We're doing our P&L analysis, and we're trying to determine now, what do we need to do to end the year strong and go into 2021 as strong as possible and as healthy as possible. Now we have CRM systems. If you utilize MailChimp or Constant Contact and you created your customer relationship management systems through those platforms, it's great to go in there and really do an evaluation of which of your clients are still in business. Keeping in contact, still sending out newsletters. If you send out a newsletter monthly or weekly or whatever the frequency, is great to just go through all your customers and clients and basically see who's operating and who's able to spend, who's still able to spend money, right? What demand do you realize from your current customers, right? What demand is, how high is demand? How strong is demand? If someone was buying maybe $5,000 to $10,000 worth of service from you every month, and now they're only able to buy $1,000 to $2,000 worth of service from you, that's a tremendous drop off in revenue. So you're determining now, how you can assess and help your clients who are still able to buy spend with you, right? What's the demand in the marketplace? All right. Again, we saw there's a whole list. There's a list out there. I think a restaurant. There's a site where you go to for restaurants and bars in the hospitality business, and they have a list of all the restaurants that closed in the Metro Atlanta area. So if you're serving restaurants and bars and businesses in the hospitality industry, just trying to see what demand is out there. What demand is out there, not just for those in the hospitality business, but the customers you are already servicing and whatever customers are there in the market still left to spend money. Because even though we have this pandemic, even though we see we're approaching astronomical numbers in terms of infections and deaths and so on and so forth, with businesses lost, there is still business out there, right? And as Glenn said earlier in our introductions, forget about what has happened. Let's worry about now. We have to focus on now and moving forward, right? Track marketing ROI. What's the return that we're getting, that we're seeing on marketing? Marketing drives sales, right? So we got to market. The market still needs to know that we exist. In a pandemic, we still have to market. We still have to utilize those social media social media platforms, whether we're marketing entirely on LinkedIn or we're doing Facebook ads. We're checking those analytics on our websites, the SEO, search engine optimization on our websites. Marketing still has to be done, right? The advertising still has to be done. The market, there's still demand out there. So the market, whether you're marketing to consumers or to businesses, or if it's a hybrid of both, they still need to know you exist. They still need to know, even if you have reduced or abbreviated services based on the fact that you may have had to lay off employees and so on and so forth, it's good for your market to know what you're doing out there. Typically, a $5 return for every dollar spent on marketing is the general barometer. So you can definitely continue to do that. Your lead generation. How are you generating leads? Here we are on the MABA platform today. We're all business owners. We're all promoting ourselves to one another. That's one way to generate leads. Getting on other platforms, on other organizations, the SBA, SBDC, the Better Business Bureau, SCORE. They have tons of workshops and webinars they do every week and every month. So it's a great way to generate leads. Have you joined or are you engaged in virtual networking events? Same thing, right? Are you the business owner? Are you hosting virtual meetings with your clients, right? If you're like me, I host virtual meetings with my clients. I just had a 3-day virtual conference, a small business and entrepreneurship summit. Glenn was one of my esteemed keynote speakers. And that was a great way for me to engage not only the people I do business with, but new people that are coming in. Again, we're looking at beefing up our P&Ls. We're looking at having healthy profits. And the only way we're going to do that is if we continue to market, generate leads, let the market know that we are still in business, and to continue promoting ourselves, right? Utilizing Zoom to host meetings. That's another good opportunity there for those to capitalize on what business we can generate to help have healthy P&Ls. All right. Next slide. All right. Managing our expenses. For those of us who are in, like myself, I had office space. I was paying monthly for shared office space. I basically, because of the reduction in demand for my services, I had to, stop paying for office space. And that helped me in my expenses. That returned more to my net profits, right? Because now those were some of the expenses that I reduced. I really don't need office space right now because we're sheltering in space, we're socially distancing, so on and so forth, right? So for each of your businesses, another way to help your net profits and to help realize a healthy bottom line, look at our expenses and look at where we can reduce in our expenses. Our competitive advantage. Are we still competitive? Businesses have closed. Businesses have been compromised due to the pandemic. do we still have the capabilities, the capacity? Do we still have what the marketplace demands, right? As far as services, right? On a SWOT analysis, it would be our strengths, right? What are our core strengths as a business? Again, we're looking for ways to get those bottom lines healthy and to grow our net profits as best as possible, right? Evaluate your accounts receivables for outstanding revenue, right? On your balance sheets, are you operating on a net 30, net 45, net 60 terms with your customers? If you still have money out there, if you have clients that still owe you and still need to pay you, work out payment agreements in order to get as much revenue into your accounts as possible, right? So you want to be able to grow your profits. The only way to do that is to make sure, hey, we can get those paying clients to pay, right? And for those who still have the money, so that's also a good thing to do. Focus on your sales funnel, right, and winning business. Going from your contacts and narrowing the funnel is all about narrowing your focus all the way down to when you generate money, when you have paying clients, right? You go from contacts to leads to issuing quotes, right? The clients say, yes, give me a quote, send me a quote. Let me know how much you charge for your services. I want to do business with you, right? So the more leads, the more contacts you have, the higher the possibility you have in generating revenue for your business, right? And then you go from contacts, leads to issuing quotes to now having paid clients, right? So every opportunity we have as a business owner, as a small business, as a solopreneur, a micro enterprise owner, we have to be out there making contacts and having the opportunity to generate revenue for our business, right? Again, manage expenses or staff and overhead, right? That was a repeat. Do you still have capacity to meet demand, right? If now people are returning back to work, right? Now they have disposable income to spend. They want to come and spend with you now. After the sheltering in place and social distancing and complying with the CDC guidelines, many of us had to lay off staff. Now, if we see an increase of business, we see an increase of demand, increase of business, increase of revenue potential, right? Creating an opportunity for us to have healthy profits. Now we have to have staff on hand to make sure that we handle that business, that sudden surge of business that's coming back into our companies, our businesses, or whatever, right? I know restaurants at one point were only doing delivery through Grubhub and DoorDash and so on and so forth, but they weren't having in restaurant dining or inside dining, right? So now when things start to pick up and in-store dining has been restored or there's a return to in-store dining, there's going to be a need to rehire people because now you have that volume of customers. So we got to pay attention to that, right? From what I gather from the SBA, EIDL ends, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, specifically just issued through the Small Business Administration, ends at the 31st of December, right? And if anyone out there is still looking for access to capital, they're still looking for working capital to help get you through the remainder of this month and into 2021, there's a good opportunity to still apply through the SBA. And that's the website there, sba.gov/disaster. So the pathway to profits, to having a healthy bottom line and healthy net profits in our business. There are many ways to achieve that. And we just want to make sure that we are ending 2020 on as good a note as possible and going into 2021, capitalizing on opportunities realized in 2020 that we will turn into revenues in 2021. All right. So that's basically a high level presentation on pathways to profits. Again, I just want to thank Glenn and MABA, Metropolitan Atlanta Business Association, for inviting me to discuss this with you and your members. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Really, I don't know about you guys. I'm excited. I mean, this is what we do all day long. But again, those high-level 15-minute, things that just remind you, just be sure and don't forget that particular aspect of doing business, which we do not do. What I want to do is give David about 15 minutes.